Hey, welcome to the show. That's Coach Noah Johnston. I'm Grant Cohn. Sorry we're late. It was me. There was traffic on the way down the stairs. Up the stairs, no traffic. Down the stairs today, there was an issue. So that's on. I mean, I'll take responsibility for it, although it was out of my control. So, Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. Saturday. Anything happened last night?
There was an exhibition. People put on pads and hit each other, and it was kind of like football. In New York, Zach Wilson hurt his knee, and a lot of people in the Bay Area kind of got hopeful in a morbid way that it was really serious. But it's not. Thank goodness that this young kid didn't hurt his knee. It's a slight meniscus tear and a bone bruise, and they think 2 to 4 weeks. So forget Jimmy Garoppolo to the Jets. This is our analysis of that situation.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Niner fans were getting hopeful. I mean, he would have had to miss the whole freaking year. And even then, the way that Saleh had been talking about Joe Flacco this year, I don't see how he could go to – what did he say about Joe? Still a starting quarterback in this league.
Yeah.
Right.
Phenomenal.
Okay, we'll start him and win.
Right.
Yeah. I think there was some fantasy that maybe Robert Saleh would be so desperate and to bring in Jimmy Garoppolo to save his job. But not going to happen. And plus, is Jimmy Garoppolo saving anyone's job? He saved Kyle's last year.
Yeah, I don't know that – honestly, like I was talking about this off air right before we went on, but like if Zach Wilson was hurt, it might have bought Saleh more time because then he could be like, oh, well, my quarterback was down for this year, so how the hell am I going to win? I know it's New York. It's a different place than any other, but I mean, his quarterback went down. Why would you want to trade – if I was Saleh, and Saleh knows Jimmy, he knows what he's going to get from him. Like, why would I do that? I would just roll with what I got and then be like,
Yeah, use the excuse because if you bring in Jimmy Garoppolo and he gets hurt and you don't win, then what you don't have the excuse.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're like, well, yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo, and then all the people that love Jimmy Garoppolo are going to be like, well, look, he was on the Jets. Like, how the hell are you supposed to win on the Jets? You know? Yeah,
I know. Absolutely. E. Kim says Juicy Lucy Burger in Minneapolis. All right, I will check that out. Thank you very much. I got your email too. Cruzy Toy says quick summary: the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good was the quarterback, the wide receiver 86, and Sam Womack. Those three guys kind of stood out. The bad was Trey Sermon. No, the ugly was Justin School.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Justin School was the ugly. Justin School played that entire game, like he might have given up like 5 sacks.
Yeah. The bad, I wasn't really into either third round running back. Those, but I don't know if you could say bad. I don't know. Anyone else? Ambry? Just Ambry in general? Kadar Holman?
We kind of already know what Ambry is, though. I mean,
all right, let's talk about what we learned in this game. And one thing I learned is that if I do my post-game grades like an hour after the final whistle in the southwest corner of the stadium, the cheerleaders will come out and photobomb my grades, which I think probably adds to the experience for the viewer. So that was one thing I learned, but that's neither here nor there. I think what the fans learned about the team is the air yards thing. Like, once again, Trey Lance is on the field. He hasn't played a lot, but when he does play, he throws long and he hits long passes. How long was this in the air? 40, 50 yards?
Something
more
like
than 30.
That.
Key is more than 30. And so far, Lance has hit 3 of these in like 400 snaps. No, 100 snaps, 100-something snaps.
He's the long ball, the deep ball is clearly back when he's on the field. Like, it's going to be an emphasis for Kyle, and it's obviously Lance looks for it. So,
okay, so here it is: three completions of more than 30 yards in the air on 117 total attempts. Then you got Jimmy Garoppolo 1 on 450 total attempts last year. 1, and apparently that was in Chicago. I barely remember it, but he did throw a long pass to Debo in that game. We can come back to Trey in a minute, but real quick, when people say like, why don't people like Jimmy anymore? He's so good at so many things. What's this? When in 2019, he had the long pass to Emmanuel Sanders in New Orleans. He would throw it. But when he missed it in the Super Bowl, he has kind of gone into a shell with this. And I don't think any coach wants a quarterback who won't pull the trigger on the downfield stuff.
I was going to say, can we take that sentence and then delete people and add in Kyle Shanahan? I mean, because we talk about a big part of his offense is that shot play. And if the shot play is a big part of your offense, you run the ball, now you want to take a shot. look, and imagine being Kyle, and now you can't do that because your quarterback restricts you. Like,
Yeah.
So that must really have been chapping his ass for the last 4 years.
Yes, absolutely. And it was so funny last night, someone asked that question, like, how nice is it to have a quarterback who sort of expands what you're capable of calling in your playbook? And he's like, oh, that's a real misconception about Jimmy Garoppolo. He can really throw it long. I mean, it's like, dude, stop trying to train Jimmy Garoppolo. No one believes you, man. That was so funny to me. But yeah, let's come back to Trey Lance. We don't know how efficient he'll be or what his completion percentage will be or blah, 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 although it was very high last night. This is definitely going to be a big emphasis of the offense. Danny Gray is here for that. Ray McLeod is here for that. It's nice, man. The field has become so compact the last 5 years.
Yeah, it's gonna help the entirety of the offense. It should help the entire, because you can't, when they start running the ball, you're not going to be able to play them like you played them before, because if you do, you have the danger of giving up a touchdown in an instant. And it's something he does well, right? Like,
yep. And coming back to Jimmy real quick, I feel like he needs to be a backup for a year because of this. He has like mental scar tissue from that Super Bowl, and he needs to get over that. He needs to sit down and exercise the demons and come back and let it rip, because right now no one wants that quarterback. No one wants that quarterback. Sorry. I mean, you can't
really operate with that quarterback.
You can't operate with that quarterback. Kyle did the best he could, but no one can do better than that. So Jimmy needs to kind of sit down. And there's been quarterbacks through years who have been sort of beaten down. They took a year away or on the bench and came back rejuvenated, like Jim Plunkett in the 80s or Ryan Tannehill. So it happens. Steve Young. It could happen. It could really help Jimmy Garoppolo, but the current version of him, he needs to get rid of that version and go find a different version. Air yards. And again, Dan Sileo, God love him. He was wrong about everything, but just him saying it so loudly that the Bucs wanted Jimmy Garoppolo, he got someone high up in that organization off the record to say, hell no. If Jimmy could hit a deep ball, he would have won 2 Super Bowls by now. That is the thing with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's not the injuries or anything else.
It's that. I think it's that. It's also turnovers, but
yeah, that's true. That's true. Flav says, sorry I missed show last night, everyone. G-Child, before I drop some truth bombs on your audience, please show us Sermon's one move again. I'm wearing sweatpants. So Sermon gets the ball, approaches the line, and goes, where am I going? Where do I go? I'm sorry. So, like, you're watching Trey Sermon and Ty Davis Price, like, really struggle to find. Ty Davis Price was doing the hezzy in the background. It was like, the hesitation move in the backfield, too. Then Jordan Mason and JaMychal Hasty come in. It's like 7-yard run, 10-yard run. It's like so easy for them. All these other guys are struggling. I'm just saying.
I don't know. To me, and it's different because I'm not there in practice. So like, I feel like I need to see more of TDP. I have a better idea what Sermon is, but I feel like I need to see more of TDP. I did when I saw Mason. I'm like, geez, like, why didn't they give this guy more touches earlier? Like,
Mason seems like he has terrific vision, agility, strength, power. He seems like what they want Trey Sermon to be. Right,
the only thing I would say when they gave the ball with Mason, right? So that game was really over.
Oh yeah,
and I'm not sure like the Green Bay defense was really like, oh, let's fight, So
I mean, I'm just saying though, it is an exhibition game, but
whatever. Right, it still counts.
Whatever. But I was just happy because it confirmed my prior biases. Mason's good.
See,
so
right.
Not.
But
that's what I wanted.
I would have liked to see Mason get the ball a little earlier. Like,
True. It's not fair. Anyway, it was nice to see. JaMychal Hasty, too. They keep trying to cut him. Can't cut JaMychal. He's explosive. Ty Davis Price, dude, he's what I call a slam back. He gets the ball and runs as hard as he can into the line of scrimmage and says, we'll see what happens. I mean, 3rd-round pick for that. Like, there was one play where he ran into Donovan West so hard. Like, man, that's your teammate. That's not nice at all. Why don't you look for a hole? There probably is a hole somewhere. But you just ran into Donovan, 61. That looked painful. Donovan, how do you feel about that? Let's talk. Niners Daddy says what we learned is Trey Lance is him. Knew it all along, but haters stay mad. People keep saying that. He is him.
Yeah.
What is that?
I don't
I'm
know.
34.
I felt like Trey Lance had a good night last night. I mean, he's got to do things consistently, and then people. It's like you get extremes with him. Like people are like, oh, Trey Lance is a bust, and then other people are like, oh, he's Hall of Fame. Like, all right, the truth is somewhere.
He made one nice throw in the game, but I think what was most important is that
He's efficient.
He looked like he'd been there a year. Last year he did look like a rookie. This year he looked like a guy who'd been there, and you can't evaluate that much. Like, what are we going to sit here and say that 8-yard pass he threw to Ray McLeod was just a revelation, or the 3-yard pass to Ross Dwelly? Like, they were just sort of getting him in rhythm.
Yes, and that's
what missed the pass on 3rd and 9, which was a tough one. I don't think they're going to be calling a lot of those deep outs in the regular season. He hasn't hit many yet.
Right. You know what? You know what I like? My favorite play by him for the night was actually when there was pressure on the interior. I think both guards were having some problems, and he found a hole up the middle. He kept his eyes downfield, then he was like, all right, nothing there. Let me just run. He got 9 yards, and then slid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to me, that was my favorite play by him for the night.
That was his favorite play too. After the game, he was like, I don't know what you got. Yeah, the throw was nice, but I slid. I was thinking about it. I wanted to do it, and I didn't. I was like, wow, did you practice? He was like, no. I was like, well, why'd you do it? Well, they told me to. Everyone, I guess the Niners been telling him to slide.
Like, people make this big deal, like, you got to practice this, like it's like some hard. Yeah, you just have to do it. Like,
I haven't done it in probably 20 years. I could do it right now if I had to. Although I will say I broke my wrist sliding when I was 14. This is a dumb story. I was 14. It was the preseason. We had just started, and I was a jerk. I thought I was fast, and I was messing around. We had just started base stealing and stuff. So I was on third base. The pitcher was left-handed, and I took like a 20-foot lead just to mess with him. And what you're supposed to do is step off the mound, run at him, get him in a pickle. But he didn't know because he was 14, so we threw to third base. And I ran home, and I stole it, but I slid to like style on him and broke my wrist like an idiot. I guess I deserved it. That's neither here nor there. But I made the All-Star team that year anyway, even though I missed the entire season. That's how good I was at baseball at 14.
Was it your writing hand? Was it your writing hand?
It was my left.
So you didn't get
the after that, I would hold batting gloves when I was on the bases, so I wouldn't make that stupid mistake anymore.
Okay. Remember in school, and if you're a person that broke your arm, broke your hand, you'd have to get like another person to write for you and take notes.
Yeah. But I broke my wrist twice, but it was always my left. Joshua Wyatt says none of those guys are on the same level as Elijah. Is that hamstring the same leg as the knee injury? He needs to be a bell cow. Yeah, agreed. That's what I noticed is like they need Elijah, and he's hurt. And he's hurt frequently. So I don't know. I think they'd love him to be the bell cow, but I don't know if he can do it. We'll see.
Yeah.
We shall. What I learned from last night is Debo and Elijah still are the 1-2 punch, but they can keep searching. I don't know why they spent back-to-back third-round picks on running backs.
But what? How do we know that? I don't know. That's why I want to see more of Mason. Like, I feel like Mason, like, I want to see more. Can he do this? With better competition, I'd like to see more of him.
Flav says Lance, solid scramble, very solid deep ball. Ooh, that's some serious praise from Flav.
Oh.
Intermediate short passers requiring touch and more precise timing looks scary. If D takes away the deep ball, don't see how we can win with just his legs. Okay, well, that's interesting. If the D takes away the deep ball, I would presume with like a 2-deep type of a coverage, well, then the Niners are just going to run the ball every time.
Right.
So again, like he's not gonna be the engine of the offense anytime soon. It's gonna be a run first offense, and if they're gonna force you to play single high, and when you do, you saw what's gonna happen. What they're gonna try to do. It's exactly the formula the Seahawks had 10 years ago. It can work. I don't think he's gonna throw that much, but yeah, you're right. I mean, on 3rd and 9, it's gonna be interesting. Like the dig over the middle, the out route, it's gonna be an adventure. Maybe you just throw deep. That's what. Yeah. Maybe just throw deep on 3rd and 9. It worked.
He has problems throwing to his left, if I recall.
But that deep pass was to his left. So
yeah, it was.
I guess so. We'll see, Flav. I appreciate your I don't know what you would call it, skepticism. That's fair. That's what we're here for on this show. But I think again, if they play too deep on 1st down, you know what the Niners are going to do. I wouldn't do that against this team.
Yeah.
Just saying. All right, let's talk about the 49ers draft from this year. I didn't like it at all. I think I gave it a C-, and I was trying to be nice. I easily could have given it worse at the time. I really thought it was terrible. But at least judging on this first preseason game, it might be one of their best. Let's go through it. What do you think so far?
Yeah, I think it might be one of those, like, for lack of a gold mine draft, right? Like they struck gold. I mean,
it could be.
Like if they
didn't have a first round pick, Trey Lance, but Drake Jackson first. We haven't seen much of him, but he looks
flashed,
good.
He flashed some last night. I mean, I had the volume low, but I was listening to Tim Ryan, and Tim Ryan was like, "Oh, Drake Jackson, and he can really bend." But it's true. Like he really did a nice job of being able to change direction on some of those quarterback movement plays. Like he really was able to flip his hips and move with the quarterback. Like he's gotten a ton of praise. I know not just from you. You said he's done some nice things in camp. A lot of people have said it. So if they can get a situational pass rusher, a guy that can give them pass rush, plus a starting guard that can perform at a high level, good level. Doesn't have to be amazing, but if he's good, starter, and then you get a nickel, like that's an outstanding draft. Nobody. And nothing else has to happen with anybody. Other.
Let's slow down. Let's slow down and go pick for pick. So Drake Jackson was their first pick. So far, so good. He could be the best player from this draft. He could be.
Right. He could potentially, yes.
Next pick, Ty Davis Price. Not a fan so far. It's early. Let's move on past him. Danny Gray. 17th wide receiver taken. I don't know if he'll be like a guy who gets 1,000 yards for this team, but clearly a weapon. Someone defenses have to account for.
I remember
a bad wide receiver pick that late in the draft.
I remember like Walsh. I have Walsh's book, and I remember one of the things from it when he's talking about the draft and players in the draft. Like the player doesn't have to be. You don't have to evaluate the player as being. Is this player going to be a Hall of Famer or Pro Bowl player for you? Like, can he fill the role that you want him to fill? That's how you evaluate it. Danny Gray, they need him to take the top off the defense, make D plays. It looks like he's going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So
I feel like Lance would be a little bit wasted without a player like him.
Yeah.
What Lance was saying last night is like, man, I had speed like this at North Dakota State. Christian Watson. I mean, he's 4.2. Like he wants to throw deep, and giving him a bunch of guys who run 4.5 flat isn't exactly getting it done. I can't remember the last time the Niners drafted a wide receiver who played this fast. They've never really valued speed like this. It's always a guy who runs like a 4.48 and is a good route runner and is like he could play 3 positions. Like this guy's like really plays super fast, and maybe he's a one-trick pony, but I can't remember the Niners actually valuing speed like this. It's great.
Yeah. So it looks like he's going to be able to fill that role.
Yeah. Really nice fit with Trey Lance.
The thing is, quality control has to stay on him.
That's true, because he will try to catch the ball with his chest, and the more I say it, the better he gets. Because you see, he can catch it with his hands. He caught that 3rd and 9 pass out of bounds that was poorly thrown out with his hands, so he can do it. Man, he does play fast too. He really does. Okay, then you got Spencer Burford, who I wasn't focused on from the press box a mile away, but there's been a bunch of clips of him destroying people, which is what he kind of did in camp. He looks like a really good 4th round pick so far.
Yeah, he did give up that pressure that caused the Lance to step up in the pocket, but I mean, if he can excel in the run game and then work on the pass pro, that's a Niners guard for you, right?
Right. So then you got Burford, and then after him there was Samuel Womack. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Well, those interceptions were a high degree of difficulty, right?
Yeah, man coverage. Yeah.
Last time you saw a Niners nickelback do something like that. I mean, all due respect to Jimmy Ward, can't do that.
No.
Can't do that. Great coverage guy.
I've never seen him, but he hasn't been able to get the picks.
Yeah, that last part of the is really hard. And if you can do that, like you're going to make so much money in Womack. If you keep doing that, whoa, you're going to be a rich man. Wow. So that's a good pick. How do they do this? All of a sudden they have like the secret key to scouting cornerbacks, the Niners? What? Wow. Amazing. His arms are freakishly long. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, well, if you look at it, like really, I mean, they kind of lucked out on Mosley, and they developed him. Ward they got in free agency, so that's not like you developed him or anything like that. But you went out and you paid and you got him.
Sure.
But this guy, you give credit for him for this. This is the pick, right? Like,
yeah,
you got to get.
They also drafted DJ Reed. He is a good player.
They just didn't keep.
Yeah. And I mean, hold on, we're not even done. So they have Kalia Davis not playing yet. Tariq Castro Fields, haven't seen much from him yet. Zakel, I don't know. Brock Purdy. Hey, Brock. I wrote you off so quick, but I like him as a backup quarterback potentially because he actually isn't just a Kyle Shanahan robot. Sometimes with Mullins, I almost felt like, dude, do what you like. Could you like play? Do what you want to do. Don't just let Kyle tell you what to do all the time. Purdy like plays off script, can run around a little bit, unlike Sudfeld. So, I mean, for Mr. Irrelevant, Flav over here says if Purdy had Trey's arm strength, he'd be a top 10 quarterback. Easy. Already a better passer than Trey. Def QB2. Wish he had more arm strength. Yeah, if he had a stronger arm, was a little taller, he'd be the best quarterback in the league. He'd be Justin Herbert if he was 6'5" with a stronger arm.
You know,
but he's Brock Purdy.
You know what's funny is again on the broadcast, Tim Ryan was actually talking up Brock Purdy's arm strength.
That first throw he had, I was
right, yeah. Like,
that's Brock Purdy. But once he sort of gets a feel for who he is and what he can pull off at the NFL, I mean, he could be, a decent little backup.
I think he can be an effective backup. I think that's what. And that's not bad. Like, you can make a lot of money as an effective backup.
Absolutely. Hey, man, when he had pressure in his face on that touchdown throw and he he scrambled to the right, hit Tanner Hudson, and immediately hit the sideline with the Aaron Rodgers. Boom! I was like, wow. Who does Brock Purdy think he is? I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. Nate Sudfeld would never have the charisma to actually do the love.
The discount.
Yeah. Anyway, Brock Purdy. You made a fan out of me. Jimmy to the Jets. Yeah, you're going to have to spend more than $199 to speak that one into existence. Yeah. I like Womack as the starting nickel in Burford with the pancake block. Got some nice rookies. Just imagine if they hadn't wasted that third-round pick on a running back for the second year. Oh, I'm sorry. But why? Jordan Mason, they have it. I'll never understand it.
It's terrible. I mean, maybe there's still time, man. You're colder on TDP than I am, but
this is a quality control issue. I think we need to have an intervention with Kyle. Tell him it's like, football throwing contest into a pizza oven, but when we get there, it's like we need to sit down and talk. 2 years in a row, you've taken a running back in round 3. We can't, as your friend, we can't keep seeing you do this.
That was
stop.
Right. That was the problem with the pick last year. I mean, I actually did like Sermon in the draft.
Sure, I like him too.
But
more
for them, they've had so much success finding backs. Like, what's the point of it? Like,
yeah, what is the point of it? That's the intervention. That's the whole. Amtod99 says I agree about Sermon, but TDP at least he does run hard. Elijah Mitchell was a O-line butt sniffer at times last year, but broke so many tackles. Give TDP time. Okay, that's fair. Just because you made me laugh. DJ Swerve says many offenses struggling in training camp against better defenses. Mac Jones has been in jail. Giants offense having full brawls against themselves. Niners shouldn't worry. Yeah, I think that because a lot of people are saying, hey, Trey Lance is struggling, but he is going against a really good defense. And maybe it's that the wide receivers are losing their one-on-one matchups. And people are like, oh, boo-hoo, no one cares. Well, we kind of saw that, right? Maybe the whole this is tough practice. This will benefit him when he faces different defense. Maybe that's true. But I don't know. He faced backups last night.
Yeah,
we'll see.
He executed, so.
He did. And he was playing with backups. Flav says, last fact. When Trey's inaccuracy leads to a lot of 3-and-outs, this D will be on the field a lot. We'll give up more points than last year just by being better. That's interesting.
Didn't the problem last year, right? Didn't they have a couple of 3-and-outs why they lost and the offense couldn't execute because their quarterback last year was
fourth quarter of the Rams game?
Yeah.
And I think actually with Lance, I don't think they had many 3-and-outs at all. I think he was actually got a first down, at least one first down, most of the time he was on the. I think there was a stat about that. I don't think he went 3-and-out very much.
No.
The scrambling is going to be a big – he's going to scramble a lot. And just when you think when it's like 2nd and 10, all of a sudden it'll be 3rd and 3. And last night what was interesting was on that touchdown that he threw, I don't know if people remember, but he got sacked on first down. First play of that drive was 1st and 10. He got sacked. He went empty formation, which was dumb. I mean, just a school guy sacked right away. Got beat. 2nd and 14. He hits Sermon on a screen for 5 yards, and then that touchdown was 3rd and 9. So I don't know. I'm not sure.
He doesn't. People talk about his scrambling, but he doesn't scramble needlessly, right? So like he scrambles efficiently. Like last night, he got pressure up the middle, scrambled, got 9 yards, but he's still looking downfield for the throw, and he does that when he scrambles. So like it's not inefficient scrambling. He's not just getting out there when there's not pressure there. And
also, sorry,
I was just gonna say they're gonna need it because they're starting 2 guards who have not started in the NFL before. So there's gonna be pressure up the middle this year.
Also, I don't think Kyle's gonna capitulate to like obvious drop back passing situations. Unless it's like losing 2-minute drill kind of stuff like that. But 3rd and 7, they can run the ball. And I think what you're going to see is they're going to go for it a lot on 4th and short because I think they're built to get that, to pick that up. So on 3rd and 7, they could run it. I think a lot of times they're going to thrive off the defense not knowing if it's a run or pass and play action. I think you're going to get a lot of that with Trey. And we've seen that. I mean, the touchdown here was a straight drop back. But against starting defenses, I think they're going to limit that as much as possible.
I also think I noticed that there's like seemingly more empty. And I think what he's trying to do is give him a clear picture if it's man, so he knows, I can just run and get 5, 6, 7, 8. You know,
that is the one nice thing about empty formations, right? You really can read the defense's mail before the snap. There's not much they can disguise.
Right.
On the other hand, you have 5 blockers. You have 5 blockers, and they can bring a 6th rusher and force the hot throw and kind of dictate to you to a degree. So you have to be really prepared to get the ball into your hands immediately. Right. So it's hard to get big plays out of empty formations, but if he's a rushing threat, you still have the quarterback draw and all that stuff.
It's also where a guy like defense
is going to miss Jimmy's 8-minute drives. Sure. But again, this is a team that's going to run the ball a lot. It's not like they're just going to be throwing hella deep passes every game. I think they have the ability to. I mean, look, of all the other, he hit the 76-yard throw. He had an 8-yard completion. He had a 3-yard completion. He had a 5-yard completion. And then the big throw. I mean, I don't think it's only going to be bombs away in this offense.
To me, you know what's the most important thing? Like, to me, when you're as a defense coordinator, the most important thing for the offense on drives is to score. Like, I don't really care too much. If you go on 8-minute drive and then you don't score, like, you got to you need to score. To me, that's what's going to that's what puts pressure on the opposing team. You just go chewing the clock, but like, that's great. I mean, you've seen this in the NFL. Then the team will just go down the field in a minute on you, and then you lose. Like,
then you lose. That's the order of operations. Danny Young says 11 on 11 is a lot better than 10 on 11. A lot better. Agree. That's what people always want to focus on, the passing. This team runs more than any other team. I think you got to talk about that. I mean, they want to run. They're embracing their philosophy, their identity. Let's talk about how the Niners are potentially changing their philosophy. This was your observation. I'll let you set it up.
Yeah, I think it seems like that they're more keen to move off their mistakes than they have in the past, right? So we've seen last year, okay, they drafted Ambry Thomas, right? The guy they liked. They drafted him in the 3rd round, the end of the 3rd round. He played. They were able to get by with him later in the year. And to me, like, I thought, okay, they want to start this kid next year. Like, this is their pick. They're going to start him. And no, they go in free agency. They nab one of the better corners in free agency, and Ambry's on the bench, right? So they moved off him right quick, right?
Yes,
so
they did
immediately. And then we're seeing this with the running backs, right? They drafted Trey Sermon last year, and that now they went right back and drafted another running back to replace him. Even though we don't agree with this philosophy. But they did it again this year. It looks like he might be the odd man out this year. They might even just cut him. So it looks like they're changing, where in the past they were more reluctant to move off their mistakes, where now they're like, okay, we can move off a mistake. If we identify it quickly, let's move it up.
Absolutely. Trey Sermon and Ambry Thomas are good examples of that. Now they did it in the past. Like they drafted Dante Pettis and it didn't work. And they drafted Deebo Samuel the next year, who was like the exact opposite of Dante Pettis. But they stuck with Dante. They tried to make him a starter. Like now they'll replace you and bury you. And maybe it's because they feel like, well, they're in year 6 of their tenure and they have that kind of cachet where they can sort of pull a Belichick. Maybe they didn't think they could do that back then, but I respect it because part of being a good decision maker is acknowledging that you're not going to be right all the time and just reacting to the evidence you have in front of you and changing your mind.
Yeah.
Changing your mind when you need to. Yeah. Yes.
Right. You're going to make mistakes. Not every pick or move is going to work out. The biggest thing that what they're doing, the biggest move which is probably counter to what I'm saying is them holding on to Jimmy Garoppolo, like where they should have just moved on 8 months ago and just,
yeah.
Yeah,
but I would think so. And it's so funny. Like every time there's a quarterback almost gets hurt or something, you get all these tweets from people being like, Grant, don't you feel stupid? You said the Niners weren't going to be able to trade Jimmy Garoppolo. Now they're going to get 3 first-round picks or whatever. Like, I might feel stupid at one point, but he's, as far as I know, it's August 13th and Jimmy Garoppolo is still on the 49ers. So let's wait because we've heard so much the last few months about all these teams who are interested. I mean, I must have heard a dozen teams that are legitimately interested in Jimmy Garoppolo, but none of them actually do anything about it. So I don't feel stupid yet. I feel stupid about a lot of things in life. Look at my face. Does this look like someone who doesn't feel stupid about things? I mean, I just have a stupid face. This expression says it all, but not about this. Okay? I know you can get confused because I just have that stupid look all the time. Why does he feel stupid? Well, not that. Mark says 8-minute drives will happen more once the opposing defense has to cover the whole field. Here's my thing. I feel like Flav is trying to make it seem like the Niners offense is going to be way more explosive, and that's a bad thing. Like, hey, they're going to have so many more quick strikes. That's going to really lead to losses. Like, I don't see that.
There's two major factors in the success of teams, success of offenses in the NFL, and the two turnovers and explosive plays.
Yeah, that's it.
You're getting, and it looks like you're going to get upgrades there in both areas with Lance. Jimmy has one of the higher turnover rates in the league. So literally just by chance, by starting anyone else but Jimmy Garoppolo, you're probably going to get an upgrade there. Then Lance looks like he by all indications he's going to throw the deep ball. He's going to get explosive plays. So by getting less turnovers, more explosive plays, that should be more efficient. That's going to be more efficient. Yeah,
I mean, you're a defensive coach. If I'm guessing if you asked Robert Saleh, who would you rather face, he would say Jimmy every time. Because with Jimmy, he doesn't generate explosive plays. The explosive plays come from not being able to tackle Deebo Samuel.
Right.
So now there's so many different ways the Niners can be explosive. There's the Deebo way. There's also Danny Gray. There's also Trey Lance, his legs. I mean, there's also Ray McLeod. I mean, there's so many ways for the Niners to burn you for big plays now as opposed to the past. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. With your hand, like you have to say it like an Italian too. That's a good thing. You see what I'm saying? You want that. You want that. Thank you, Mark. I'm a quarter Italian. I can do that. I'm allowed to. My mom, half Italian. Her mom, full Italian. That's how it worked. Nicolo Credit says weakest position group. Well, let's go there. Let's go there. How about tight end? How about tight end? You got your all-pro and then a bunch of guys.
And then nobody.
Nobody. I mean, the offensive line, they got Trent Williams too. And they have some guys that they have high picks on the offensive line that we don't know about. The Niners don't even care about that position. They spent a 5th-round pick on Kittle, a 6th-round pick on Warner, and that's the whole thing. That's the only investment they've had at that position.
You've touted it before. I mean, this is your guy, but I do feel like you're correct about they have Dwelly, but they still use him. It's he was the one that made that high catch from Lance in the flat last night, right?
No problem. No problem. That's just a walk in the park for Ross Dwelly. No problem.
And I remember, was it like early last year? I think didn't he catch Lance's first touchdown or didn't?
No. Did he? He did. He caught a touchdown pass from Jimmy against Seattle, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, they're going to start using this year, right? And then
There was
nothing.
one incomplete pass. I think he got 5 targets last year, caught the first 4, didn't catch the 5th, and it was like off, and that was it. Never got targeted again. So let him go. Let him go to Tampa and catch passes from Tom Brady, because I bet you Tom will see it, what I see. All you got to do is watch him in one-on-ones. I don't know how this dude win, but he never loses. He's slow, but he wins.
Right.
Big, shifty, strong enough. Anyway.
Maybe I would say, I don't know how you want to group it. Like if you want to say interior line is still might be the weakest, or just straight up center.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So hold on with that offensive line. Jacqueline Knox says Trey didn't throw a pick, so that was definitely a plus. True.
Yeah, I think for me, what you need Trey to do is explosive plays. Don't turn the ball over. Like do those 2 things. Like those 2 things, and if he does those, improves those 2 things, I think they'll be a better team.
Let me go back. I keep going back to Russell Wilson. His rookie year, he was 24 years old. He threw 393 passes. He threw 26 touchdown passes, 10 picks. I mean, 3,100 yards. If Trey could have that kind of a season, the Niners will go pretty far. He also rushed for 489 yards and 4 touchdowns.
What was his completion? What was his completion percentage?
64. So if Trey does that this year, I think the Niners are in business. But I don't know what business that is. Sean, thank you. Let's move on. So I've been really wringing my hands about the offensive line all offseason, even though I'm not a fan of this team. I just cover it. But I'm concerned for Trey that this offensive line isn't going to be good enough. He got sacked once last night. Justin School is not good enough, but I don't know if he's going to be on this team. We saw Brendel, Banks, Burford, McGlinchey. Do you think this line is still cause for concern?
Yeah, I think there's some concern there. Yeah. I mean, I laugh about this. Like every time I got, you on the Twitter feed in camp, I feel like every time there's like someone says, "Oh, like this defensive lineman made a great play, just demolished Aaron Banks." Like it's always Aaron Banks. Like it's always insert your favorite defensive lineman had a great one-on-one versus Aaron Banks.
Yeah.
That's a cause for concern.
Yeah.
Burford has been very good. I think he's going to be, looks like a solid starter, but I don't think he's going to be a Pro Bowler immediately or anything. Like he's going to be a solid starter. But I'm not so sure about Banks. I think there's still some questions at center. So, I mean, maybe Brendel can.
Can Brunskill play at any point in this game?
I didn't see him. Maybe they're gonna do the old we know we got in Brunskill, so we don't even play him. Like
awfully weird. They had some guy named number 66 playing center, throwing snaps all over the yard last night. That was nice.
I watched him a little bit, and I have to go back, but I thought the tackle, the right tackle they just signed, looked pretty good.
Mills.
Yeah, Mills. Yeah, I thought
big fluid. Yeah.
Yeah, I always like offensive linemen that rock 50s too. Like it's like your best. That's like your best number group if you're offensive line. Like to me, I feel like the 50s are probably like that looks good. Like if you're an offensive line,
you like that?
Rock a 50 number. 70, 60, 70s and 60s. That's ugly numbers. But
look, I think it's hard to evaluate the offensive line because they didn't face one defensive lineman I heard of. But if Jake Brendel was getting beat by defensive linemen I hadn't heard of, that would be a cause for concern. And the fact that Burford looked good and Brendel and Banks at least held their own, it's like they cleared the first hurdle, right? That's kind of how I look at it. At least they didn't do anything that brings the microscope to them. They made it through. So far, so good.
I have to go and watch it again, but it's like I'm watching, I think on that rep where Trey scrambled, it's like I saw Banks and he's trying to get hands on the defensive lineman, and the defensive lineman is toying, like he's got his hand like this, and Banks is just like struggling. So I don't know. We'll see. TBD. Like
TBD on that one. Yeah.
I think
Burford though encouraging.
Encouraging if Brendel and Banks can kind of hold their own. Obviously, they know what they've got, and they know what they've got in their two tackles.
Also, but hold on, I'm never going to let Mike McGlinchey off that free. I mean, nice guy, but I still have questions on Mike. I want to see Mike. I want to see more from Mike.
But
I never sold on Mike.
Mills might be the. Let's see what he does. He's been a starter in the league.
I'm just saying. Look, he looks way better in pass protection than Tom Compton. You know what I'm saying?
The Niners didn't the Niners is Compton starting in Denver now?
He might be.
I'd take a look at that. I think they're playing.
That's bold.
Cowboys in Denver. I think are playing.
They paid him like $3-4 million, so I would think so.
Probably a starter. Yeah, the
That's
Niners
bold.
turned Tom Compton into a starter.
Russell Wilson always gets the worst pass protection.
Yeah.
Hey, we got you a turnstile at right tackle. You're welcome. All right. So the most hyped position group on this team is the defensive line. There's a lot of, first round picks, really, really highly known players. But I think the best position group on this team is the linebacking group, because every single player they have there is super good, and it doesn't matter if they're third round pick, fifth round pick, undrafted free agent. The Niners are a linebacker factory. What did you see from the guys last night?
I gotta give credit to the guy that's on your show. He does a really good job on the show. I always like it's Larry. Larry. He brought the. He's been. I've heard him talk up this guy twice. McCrary Ball, and to me, he's the linebacker that flashed last night. If he was listening, like he was all over the field. I know statistically, Oren Burks had a good game, but to me, McCrary Ball really flashed. Like I feel like he could be the next one.
Yeah.
And
Azeez Al-Shaair.
Yeah, I mean, the Niners should not waste any more contract money on any more linebackers. Like, do not pay Greenlaw. Sorry,
do not pay Al-Shaair unless it's totally team friendly.
Yeah. If they're gonna,
those guys are really good,
right? If they don't pass in free agency and they do like a tart kind of deal where it's cheap and you just bring them back, yeah, that's cool.
But that won't happen. They're too good.
No, they should not just. You guys are a factory. Realize this, and go with your younger guys. Like so, even Flanagan Foles, the
big hit stick on one dude.
Yeah.
Listen,
it seems like okay. Find a guy with two last names that's a safety, and then convert him to linebacker.
Yeah, don't take a big linebacker and try to slim him down. Take a little guy. And just over the course of 2-3 years, build them up, and they do it really good. Go back and check out Demetrius Flanagan Foles 3 years ago, and look at him now.
200 pounds, right? Like
a whole different thing. Whole different. He's a hard hitter now. Back then, you weren't like, oh my God, is he going to hold up in the box or is he going to get hurt? That was with Fred when they first got
Fred Warner. I was just going to say Fred Warner. Fred Warner's draft profile is I'm not really sure if he likes contact.
Right. Absolutely. He would get hit and then get dragged around the field. Now he's vicious. So yeah, the Niners really do a good job with the whole linebacker development.
Yeah, outstanding job. And I was going to bring this up, but and it's something to think about. Who's the guy on the roster this year that they might be able to get a 5th round pick before cuts? And it might come from this group again.
Right. It could be Marcelino McCrary Ball.
It could be him. It could be Flanagan Foles. It could, could be
one of those guys. Now, I want to say Oren Burks wasn't super violent or whatever, but he was around the ball constantly.
He was.
And maybe the fact, again, this is a guy who was a mid-round pick, went to a team that clearly doesn't know how to develop linebackers. Now he comes to the linebacker factory of the world, and boom, he's around the ball. So maybe he could be one of these guys. I don't know how long they signed him for, but maybe he could replace Dre Greenlaw or Azeez Al-Shaair in the starting lineup in a year.
Yeah, and he's a big-time special teams player. So
big time.
Right. He gives you two. If he's your Sam, so he's playing really sparingly on defense, and then gives you all the snaps on special teams, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck.
So much bang for your buck.
Yeah, a lot of bang.
A lot of bang. Yeah. Andrew Valencia says Trey would have kept playing if the O-line held up. Nah, man, you want to go out on a high note. Touchdown, boom, you're done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you don't want to keep him in for longer than more. Yeah.
Kidding? You want that to be the last thing people remember. DJ LL Rob Love became a YouTube member. Thank you very much, DJ LL Rob Love. Kenny G said, wow, Kenny G says Huff looked good. I know it was versus backups, but I think he's a step up from last year. He's flying around and seems more aware of where the ball is. Yeah, I agree. Hits harder than Tart around the ball more than Tart.
He's still going to have his weakness, right? Like he's going to be. I think you're going to want to avoid him getting caught in man-to-man coverage, right? So
yeah, because he can't cover anyone.
Yeah,
nobody.
Zip zero. Nobody.
Maybe so running back, not a tight end.
Yeah, so they're going to have to just be careful. Pick their spots when they call zero, and like you said, if there's a way when they call then they call zero, they put him on the running back. They can do that. They can do like when they call cover one, make him the post player, make him the middle hole player, things like that.
They will.
But that's what they're probably going to do.
That's exactly what they're going to do because Jimmy Ward's their man-to-man coverage safety. But
then,
I mean, I was going to say if this secondary is as good as we think, and Womack is up to the level of Ward and Mosley, then teams are going to have no choice but to try to find ways to go after Hufanga because who else are you going to go after?
Right, and if the secondary is as good as it looks, it's going to give Ryan's a better opportunity to protect him.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Jacqueline Knox, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Joseph says Mike McGlinchey's a sack waiting to happen. Pulling him out of the game for good. Pulling him out of the game was good for the Niners. Womack and Lenore looked great. What do you think, Lenore?
Okay.
That's my impression.
I mean, I gotta see more. It's TBD. I don't think Lenore was enough to say he looked great.
Yeah.
I thought you could say Womack looked great, but
yeah,
I think.
Okay. What did you think from Ray McLeod? What did you see from Ray McLeod? Because he had an explosive play and he made some guy fall down. And I don't know if that guy's even gotten up yet from that fall during that route. That was amazing. He's still tripping somewhere.
He's a guy that plays faster than his 40 time, right?
Like,
4.5 guy, but looks like he plays faster. Maybe he was a little underused at Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh has wide receivers, they always do.
Yep.
However, Kyle obviously saw something he liked. He said from the get-go, like I was looking at him as a wide receiver, not necessarily a punt returner.
Right.
I guess the one down thing that he did fumble the football, which is.
And you wonder, like, maybe that's why he's not in Pittsburgh anymore. I think what's interesting is he's clearly explosive. And I feel like he's going to have a role until he fumbles a few times. So, like, what's going to happen? Is he going to actually have, a few big plays? And is he going to, like, make himself a mainstay? Or is he going to take himself out of the rotation before he gets a chance to do something nice? He seems like he's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, they're going to.
Does the risk outweigh the reward? Or does, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not Debo and his drops. It's, your gadget fourth string wide receiver and he fumbles.
Right.
Like he gives you some big plays, like, yeah.
But he if Danny Gray ends up keep ascending, he might be a guy. Ray might be the guy that kind of ends up getting pushed down the roster, right?
Or Jawan. No one's talking about Jawan, but Jawan has a very specific role in this team. Possession receiver. They got Kittle. They got Ayuk. They got Debo. I mean, you really want to call plays for Jawan Jennings on 3rd and 6 when you got all those other guys that you could go to? I mean, I'd rather surround those three with explosive players. That's just me, though. Especially when the quarterback isn't Jimmy. I'm just saying.
Well, I kind of feel like a little bit with the opposite is that Juwan gives you something the other guys don't. And then also when you have a guy that has accuracy issues, Juwan gives you that big catch radius, so he can make some plays there. We'll see. I'm not ready.
Like Ray and Danny Gray could just create a little bit more space for the big three underneath. I'm just saying.
We'll see. TBD on
TBD.
Like the only thing I would say is like he really made plays in big time moments and in big time games. So I know he hasn't been having the best practices. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt just because he's on the stage where it mattered. He's made plays and executed. So
you know what I like about him? Kyle said he plays like he has his hair's on fire, so he dyed his hair red. I love that.
That's awesome.
It's so tight. I love that.
He's got to come. He's got to go to Kyle's office. Ask Kyle if does Duran go there?
Say hi.
Yeah.
Jody Moore says it looked like Kyle was more chatty and laughing with Trey than I saw with Jimmy. Did you catch that? Also, Trey seemed very mature and ready. I never really got the sense that Jimmy and Kyle liked each other very much. I mean, Kyle brought him in here reluctantly, and then from what we heard, Jimmy like signed the contract and wouldn't return his text messages for an offseason. I don't think that relationship got off on the right foot.
Yeah, it always seems like Kyle was out with Jimmy on the sideline. Like Jimmy would do something, and Kyle would be on the side. Like a
lot of that. A lot of that. No, I can see it. Look at me, 731, new member. Thank you very much. Look at you. What grade did you give Trey last night? I gave the quarterbacks an A. I mean, it's hard to give a quarterback who had a 158.3 quarterback rating less than an A. I mean, he did miss the throw on 3rd and 9. Okay. Okay. I give him an A. He slid, mostly for the slide.
Yeah,
mostly for the slide. Nate Sudfeld, though, I was really hard on him last night. I don't know why. That's enough. Nate, you're a great guy. Sorry.
I thought he looked solid. I mean,
yeah, it was just totally gratuitous. I take it back. Everything I said, Nate, I take it back. You're Modesto's finest. Keep doing what you're doing, buddy.
What did you call him? A sloth?
Nate, the human sloth Sudfeld. I'm so sorry. When he tries to actually like move or go off script, I'm like, oh my. Oh no. No! Just check it down. Throw the pass to the running back immediately and move on, Nate.
I can't remember what comedy show like it was where they made like a video about sloths. I don't know, was it Saturday Night Live or something like that? Have you ever seen that?
I don't know. See if you can show it to me. See if you can find it.
Yeah.
Yo, we got to end the show real quick. So stop sending me money in super chats because someone sent me a $10 one after the show last night. I felt terrible about it. So bad. Victory Jones says Flav's saying facts about stuff that haven't happened yet. Oh, man. I respect Flav and people like him, that have been trying to be, pump the brakes guys this offseason, but this is a tough day for them.
Yeah, I mean, I've been pumped the brakes on Lance to a certain degree. I think you have to acknowledge that.
No, but not that degree. Not that like, hey, Jimmy should be the quarterback still. Like those guys.
You've got like I said, you've got extremes. Like there's there's people that will defend Lance no matter what, and then you've got people that will put him in the dirt no matter what. So
that's me. I'm just getting started with Lance. I'm buttering him up. Boom!
Right. You're gonna get down on. You're gonna start criticizing it when he's good and like he's like the fan. That's when you're gonna be like, oh, this guy's terrible. Like,
this is terrible.
Yeah. The Niners better not give this guy his second.
No, because I feel invested. I mean, I said the Niners should draft him before they drafted him. I almost feel like they took my advice. So this is a whole different situation. This is real quality control. You know what I'm saying? This is.
I can't remember the situation is with the bet with your father. Like, are you gonna have to get him?
I have to buy him a nice bottle of wine if Jimmy is not on the roster week 1, and so far he's still here. Yeah. So if he gets final cuts, I got to get him a bottle of wine. And he got me one for Debo, so I owe him anyway. But I still want to beat him, and I want to double up because I'm just that kind of son. Yeah. And I still think I might win. I mean, we'll see. We shall see. Because if they cut Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm ready for that too.
And you already got the article written. Like it's gonna be.
Okay, that's the end of the show. Thanks for watching. I'll be back when you least expect it. Have a great weekend. Do something.
Cohn tomorrow.
Cohn for tomorrow, of course. Jody, what did I say? Still Trey over Justin Fields? Yes. I don't know Justin Fields. I saw him play one time. Hell of an athlete. I don't know what he's like to coach or how much he's improved or what he looks like now. I like him, but I like Trey more.
So, someone made a fake tweet, but like a fake tweet quote with Justin Fields, and it was like the 6th-string receiver at Ohio State is better than the receiver.
And it worked because it was kind of true.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's the show. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. Be back tomorrow. Cohn phone tomorrow, 10 a.m. Go buy some Niners merch. QC merch.